Women Scientist Association. And immediately after the meeting was over, we came to know and we said we also must join this organization because we were all struggling scientists in BRC, in cancer research, wherever. So we joined there, but you know where we used to meet? There is one Indian Gymkhana in Matunga. They gave us one small room in the first floor, and we used to meet there and discuss long how to bring our Indian Women Scientist Association and how we can spread the science to masses and how we can promote all scientific culture. So finally, by and sometimes we used to meet at Dr. Padhe's home, who is our founder member, otherwise at Dr. Sumati Bidey's room, or wherever UDCT, wherever we would get place, we would join and plan for this. Then we decided to have an international conference. And Devki madam is listening. Most probably we avoided Devki when we went there. I don't remember. So we were all going there, and the international conference was planned, and we are so enthusiastic, much younger than what we are now. So we invited Indira Gandhi for inauguration, and the venue was Taj Mahal Hotel, really the great Taj Mahal Hotel. We went there, and there for 3 days we were planning how to promote science. We presented papers. I remember we got participation from Africa, America, everywhere. And it was a great success. So much so that we decided to buy land and start our own, have a place for Indian Women Scientist Association. And then we got it, we got donations from everywhere. So we were busy in running fundraising programs, we were busy doing everything. And plus, increasing our membership. So there were now 12, 11 branches, but that time there were about 10 or so. Started from Delhi, Nagpur, everywhere, Kolhapur. So they all joined. And you have seen our EVSA building. We started a hostel, working women's hostel. And consequently, government said you must have a daycare system also. So daycare was started. Then we said computer center also must be there because normally computer courses are highly charged, so we should have it for young girls and low income group. Then health center started, and we must have a library, so library is also there. So activities prospered, and then there was a lot of space where we decided to have a garden, and then Vijaya ma'am arrived, and the garden became learning garden. Before we know, things started prospering so well that MEP program has spread everywhere. We had everybody come and teach us what to do. I mean, Param ma'am told us how we could come together and run a institution, and there were so many other things. Some ladies told us, Mita Kakatkar, I think, about what is algae and how you will do it. And everybody told us about their expertise. And then we shouldn't forget about foods. So today Meenakshi is going to tell us about forgotten foods. Thank you for listening to me. And this is, I didn't introduce IVSA as usual, but I thought this is what IVSA is. We are spreading the scientific temper everywhere, and MEP is the best example of that. That's what I feel. So, over to Meenakshi.
Thank you, Dr. Sunita Mahajan. Now, let me introduce you to our today's speaker, Ms. Meenakshi Bhupati, a food enthusiast, a software engineer by profession. She wants to guide the world to understand the benefits of overlooked, forgotten foods around them. Her mission is to try and identify and share her knowledge on the forgotten foods which used to be part of every cultural diet. With increasing commercialization and standardization, these cultural or traditional foods are getting vanished. Once these foods go away, we need to replace them with all kinds of advanced chemical filled supplements, which are not going to hit the root cause anytime to satisfy our body needs. Meenakshi is passionate about bringing together the informative memories or experiences with natural foods which are seen dying in today's modern world. It is a well known fact that food diversity is linked to diversity in this world. If biodiversity disappears, we lose the food wealth on our plates. Days are not far when humans will be dependent on commercially promoted taste buds with packaged foods designed for universal size and taste, and it will definitely miss the personal touch and magical healing powers. Presently, she has a Facebook group, the Forgotten Foods Group, a Facebook page, Forgotten Foods, which has details and benefits about forgotten foods treasure around us, and a YouTube channel where a few recipes and information on forgotten food items are shared by her. She is a proud editor of the theme calendar 2021 regarding forgotten foods, in collaboration with Sahaja Seeds, the first farmer owned organic seed company. This calendar is information on forgotten foods across India. It has been printed in English and Kannada and sold 4,000 copies till date, while the Hindi version is in pipeline. She is also a freelance consultant to agro based firms. Without much ado, let's listen to the first hand information and experience of Meenakshi Bhupati on forgotten foods around you. Yes, Meenakshi.
Thank you, Sweetila. Thanks for that lovely introduction. So I'll just present my screen. So are you able to see my screen?
Yes. Just make it full. Yeah.
Okay. So a very good afternoon to everyone present here. And so my presentation is structured in this following manner. So introduction and food is a magical medicine. We'll talk about what this is, and commercial food around us, and forgotten foods from nature. So as Spinel has introduced, so I'm basically a software engineer, and this is out of my passion. I have taken up a mission saying that I have to provide today's generation and specifically the urban crowd to actually start thinking about a new dimension of eating food beyond its functionality, because nowadays if you see, everyone has reduced the amount of time they are investing on the food what they are taking, but food is actually the essence of life. People need to understand that the kind of food structure or the quality of food which is going inside the body is actually essential for the better functioning, and also there is some magical capacity like the healing powers which they are missing out if they are not focusing on these kind of alternative forgotten food items which traditionally our ancestors and grandparents or parents used to follow. Maybe now it is getting missed out in this fast moving life. So this was the mission, and following this mission, so I have actually started providing some food consulting advices to many agro companies for them to design products which is based on forgotten foods. And the second thing is I have a Facebook group and a Facebook page which talks about all the forgotten food items. So presently 65 items are covered there, so which are completely forgotten, and across India, most of the places in rural areas, these items are actually identified, but they don't know how to use it. So I provide them information on how they can use these for their regular daily lifestyle issues, or it can be an investment to their body for increasing their healing powers, increasing their immunity, and which is the call of the need in today's COVID situation. So that is the whole idea about that Facebook page and Facebook group. Another one is like the YouTube channel. So it is an upcoming YouTube channel. So I have provided around 25 plus videos with all the recipes, possible recipes with those ingredients, because ultimately I believe that it has to be implemented. So there is no point in just learning the information. So people have to implement it and then get the benefits of it. So that is the intention, that there is a YouTube channel on this name. And the latest achievement which we have done is, uh, so in collaboration with Sahaja Seeds, a company which is very popular in down south. So they actually collaborated with me to spread this message, spread this knowledge of forgotten foods in a form of calendar. So we have come up with the 2021 calendar, which has both English and Kannada, and we have circulated about 4,000 plus copies. And so the free version of this particular calendar is available. I can just paste it in the chat section. Maybe I'll give it to you right after this meeting. So the next one is a question to all of you here. So food is magical medicine. So whether we want to have a spoon of tablets or something which is natural, so choice is ours. So what do you prefer? So do you want a spoon of some medicines or tablets, or something which makes you strong enough that you need not eat it? So I'm sure that all of us will agree that we would like to go for something which is an alternative solution instead of consuming a lot of tablets, because tablets can resolve the issue, but it will not touch the root cause. So to touch the root cause and make us more stronger, it is very necessary that we manage a food pattern and food style. And we need to understand what are the, from where is that food coming from. It is not limited that, so nowadays it's a jargon going on that it's just organic. So we really don't know whether it is truly organic or not. I mean, that's a different story. But what I'm trying to focus here is that we need to understand and start implementing the thought process that we need to make a change in the choice of food, because food is actually a magical medicine. So how it is possible, we can just discuss. So as I told, like the food actually makes us these four main items. We have to visualize this, because what happens is, at the end of the day, if you have an office meeting or you have to go early to office, or I mean, if many people still are going to office even in spite of this corona situation, so we always compromise the time we are going to spend on the choice of food. So that's a sad part of today's modern world. And also the older generation also have started adapting this, so they prefer to order food whatever is available, so called the commercial food, whatever is available. They try to go grab something which they just visualize in the supermarket shelves. So the thought process is very limited. So the thought process is very limited to what is shown to you. So we have just forgotten what we were actually eating, and we are totally detached from the environment. So if we think of taking these forgotten foods into our diet, first thing, it's going to be making you feel good. Feel good as in, so there's a lot of benefits if the content of food, if we eat, is towards green. If it's more towards some raw, like say a palak or a spinach of a different varieties, whatever is available. There are hundreds of varieties of palak available. So if you eat something like that, it will make you feel good. Your body will be more calmer and peaceful. So definitely these kind of forgotten foods will make you feel good. That is point number one. And of course, feel good happens if you're healthy. So that is the second one. Third one is saves money. So how does it save money is, I would say, it will definitely reduce your medical expense, or it is possible if you are very disciplined and consistent, it will actually make your medical expense zero. It is possible. So, but it has to be consistent and disciplined. So it is not like we just taste something and finally we expect some magic to happen. It is a disciplined behavior towards the choice of food, what we are making. So we need to strongly understand that food is going to be something magical. It is not just functional that I fill something into my stomach. So that is the communication which I try to give wherever I talk. So this is the first thing I want the audience to take it to their heart very strongly, that food is something which has all the powers, and it's basically a lifestyle discipline which we have to maintain. The last thing is the food security. So this is a very large topic. So if at all, like say for example potatoes, or if at all like carrot, the typical carrot or cauliflower, we are only depending on that. So we are actually forcing our nature. We are disturbing the ecosystem. We are actually focusing in cultivating one particular item in a large scale. So that is because we are creating the demand. So the whole society, the whole everyone is actually dependent on, say for example, cauliflower or say broccoli, for instance. So it is creating demand, and because of which all the resources, including the land, the water, everything, the whole environment resources, everything is getting affected, and it is actually exploiting the natural resources. So there will be a time when there will not be food. So it is anticipated that down the next 2 decades there will be food scarcity with respect to the exploitation done in uh, even grains, the standard grains, what is used, the rice or wheat. So basically, when we start thinking in a different dimension, when we start thinking that there is an alternative way of food which is actually going to be benefited to us, we are actually indirectly contributing to the food security, and we are giving a big contribution to the local economy as well. So food security is a very broad topic, and so basically by giving these kind of choices, we ensure even that indirectly. So that's what I wanted to bring this. And the next one is a topic where I'm going to talk on commercial food crops. So I hope these are the most of the items which we are eating every day. Do you agree?
Yes.
So maybe I missed out anything, you can tell me. But so definitely, I'm sure carrot will be there in every alternative days or something like that. Cauliflower is the most popular one. If you go to even restaurants or anywhere, you'll have a gobi as your menu. Like for veg, definitely gobi is the very important ingredient.
Bhindi रह गया bhindi.
Yeah, bhindi. Yeah, bhindi too is one of the commercially grown food. Yes. Anything which you want to, like something which even say even spinach. We all
Onion is missing.
onion and
Garlic.
tomato and garlic. I think I have just made it like default. So onion and tomato, the whole economy is playing with those two things. So yeah, so this is the mostly commercial food crops which we generally eat. Mutter, even the corn also become commercial. In malls you have a different American corn coming in nowadays in a different taste buds. It started giving a different now people are addicted to it. So just like there were times when we used to go in streets and we have that butta or the corn being roasted in nowadays also you can find it, but it has become a rare occurrence in at least the metro cities and all. And even if it is occurring, the kind of people who go and approach that particular vendor is changed. It's actually depend upon the economy. So people are now preferring the American corn over to the native corn varieties. So that's the problem here. So basically, even green peas, if you say, we are so much in creating the demand. When the winter season comes, we are like mutter, mutter, mutter. Actually, if you question the kind of mutter what we are getting is totally we are just consuming a lot of pesticides into it. So that's how it's becoming, because the more and more we create demand on all these so-called say 10 to 12 items, the commercial guys are forced to actually put all kind of pesticides with different colors and variations and then give to us, and we are indirectly, instead of thinking that we are eating some vitamins and minerals, we are actually eating the pesticides also. So that is the problem. So why I'm saying this is a problem is because I listed down like 4 important points which I want to discuss. So one thing is the biodiversity loss. So what if the whole world is now eating only potatoes? I see that is the most probable thing which will happen soon, because potatoes become so popular, and I think the whole world is now going towards potato. And if the whole world goes towards potato, what will happen to the other vegetables, right? So the diversity, we just can't go behind one particular item and rely upon just one particular item. It's not done. So the whole biodiversity, there are like thousands of different varieties of food, but we are just going behind one or two varieties just because of the commercial popularity. So we only get advertisement for potato wedges in the television, but we don't get advertisement for a ponangati kirai for it's the ponangati is the spinach, so that we don't get draft copper leaves. We don't get advertisement for that. Nobody is making it popular. So those are like small heroes who are struggling now in life, but they are also good performing ones. But we are not ready to care about them. So that is a big problem which we need to understand. So am I going fast, or you're able to?
Fine. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine.
So the second problem is disturbs sustainable ecosystem. So a sustainable ecosystem is an ecosystem which actually can heal itself. So you take something from it to produce something, and things go back to it. So it's actually a cycle. It, but we disturb it because we are just taking, and leaving the making it an open circuit, and that is not good for our earth, for the nature, and definitely that indirectly will come and affect us, right? So these are the main problems which is global centric, that is biodiversity loss and disturbing the sustainable ecosystem. But let's now talk about only us, because we are all selfish humans, so we only want to think first. We are actually missing out a lot of healing medicines. We are literally missing so many healing properties which are there in these kind of locally grown forgotten items which are just around us. And the whole objective of my this particular session is that I want people to think that there is a possibility of eating this way also. And once they accept that there is a possibility of eating these forgotten foods, they will start learning more what are the things available, and they will relate it to what are they seeing in around them, or even when you go for a resort or a vacation or somewhere wherever you spot it. Or even if say if at all people can walk into the local markets. So there are, every city has their own local markets, be it Cosmo City or a metro city, anywhere there is a possibility. I am in Bangalore right now, and I can spot out at least 10 to 12 different varieties of greens in my local market, and I can do it. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. I'm a normal person. So it's just that there's an intention that I have to do it. So how will you develop intention? Only when you know the values of it. So that is the whole thing which I would like to communicate. So yes, you will have immense healing properties along with, of course, the vitamins and minerals with that food. And these commercially grown food will actually only contain more of pesticides, which you cannot control. And if you choose this kind of locally grown vegetables and greens and fruits or flowers, it's going to be really beneficial for your health as well as the environment. So that is the whole objective. So taking the thought process away from the commercial food into one possible alternative is what I wanted to share with you people. Okay. So now I think I've bored you guys with a lot of information or global views and all those things with my thoughts. So now I thought, why can't I make it like a quiz time? And this quiz is going to be completely on the forgotten foods. And I'm sure you must have been seeing this, and some of people would have even eaten it maybe if you had a chance. But let's see how it goes and how you can recognize them. So, are you all ready for the quiz?
Yeah, excuse me, Meenakshi, just an announcement. So, everybody has to participate in this quiz by typing your answers in the chat box. The fastest